lights here while we're doing these tours. So like I say, the last person in, make sure that this door gets dog tight. Known as 3-space. What this is right here, this generator underneath this box, is a 671 Detroit diesel as well. The primary function of this engine right here was to run the hydraulics that feed the crane out on the main buoy deck. It also generates electricity, so in the event that we had some type of a catastrophic failure below decks and we needed to take and use this for power, we could close all of these watertight doors. If we had a flood down there, we could still generate electricity to man all of our radios and our light systems up on top. So we'll go downstairs now and get into this blue room. So if you look out the windows right behind us here, those two windows, slide over a little bit, Doug, so we can see. So if you look out, the engines down in the floor are EMD locomotive engines. They generate about 1,200 horsepower each. So what those things do is they generate electricity. They put that electricity up into that panel back there, that gray panel on that back wall, and then that's distributed back to the motor room to where it's used to turn the prop. It's a single screw. There's a 2,000 horsepower motor, electric motor back there that turns the one screw. That's the only thing those engines do in the floor is generate electricity for that. There's two 671s up on each side. The one on the left side, as we're looking back over here right now, that was the one that was just rebuilt, that was finished about 45 minutes ago on it and started up for the first time. So those generators right there, they generate the power for all of our creature comforts and all of the house power. So for all of your lights, running the coolers, all of that kind of stuff up on the bridge, everything up there. So now if we turn around and we look at these panels here on the wall, this outside panel and this outside panel are identical. What they tell you about is this one here tells you about the port engine in the floor, the EMD down there. This one tells you about this one that's in the floor. So it gives you all of your coolant temperatures, all your oil pressures and everything like that. You'll notice there's an LED on each one of those engines. Those LEDs give you what the exhaust gas temperature is. So if you were to take and if you're cruising along at 10 miles an hour, the thing runs pretty smooth. If it started to miss or something was out of sorts with it, you can come down here and you can scroll through each cylinder and it'll give you a temperature. And at normal operating temperatures, it's about 400 degrees, 380 somewhere in that area. So if it's all of a sudden you had one cylinder running at 150, you can isolate it down, you could take that one out of the loop, you could do whatever work on it, get it back online and take it and get back underway. One engine can generate enough power to keep the ship running. So just because you had one down doesn't mean that you'd be out of work or out of business. So you can still power that, put enough power back to the main engine or main motor back there on it to turn the screw to take and functionally do whatever you needed to do. And same with the diesel generators up on top.
No speed?
Not necessarily, maybe a little bit, but not much. It's not going to have that big of an effect on it. There's a lot of times where you could run one engine, because if you run both of them, they're not working real hard, they're just barely up off of idle. So sometimes, you know, and it depends on your philosophy on diesels and stuff like that there. It might be better to take and run one of them and have it loaded. And if you talk to 5 different mechanics, every one of them is going to tell you something a little bit different. So it is, you know.
It's like a paddock.
Exactly. You know, so you could run one, like if we go to Bayfield, you could run one on the way down and one on the way back. And you keep your hours relatively balanced, but you'd be working one a little bit harder. You know, you'd working them singularly so they'd run a little bit harder.
Does the captain make that decision, or is it charged?
The owner makes that decision.
The owner.
He's the guy who makes all of the decisions.
How many